So big apologies, a dropout on the live stream, beyond our control down in the studio, and I think we're an opportune moment to miss out on some of it. We'll be stitching the two parts of the recording together to watch later, and we're on lap number 1 on our way round. We're just about to approach what is the final climb of lap number 1, heading out on the way up in Richmond to complete lap number 1 of the UCI World's Course. Let's jump back into the ride and see how we're getting on. We're just with Luke Taylor 84 at the minute. So in we go, back in live here on the DONNYCHAINGANG DONNYCHAINGANG, and you can see plenty of the riders just chasing on here. Mr. Donahue in this group, and everybody is really starting to feel the pressure here. If we take a look back, this is the nearest 100 riders to Thomas, and as you can see, Russ just up the road a little bit at the moment. Let's jump in with Russ. Remember guys, it's all about keeping the pressure down. It's all about riding with the yellow beacon. Keep the watts down, keep the group together. And at the moment, our red beacon just coming up to the top of Libya Hill, which is the intermediates climb. And Russ rolling along nicely here at 2.5 watts per kilo. Jump up in the air here with Russ ticking along at 160. Remember, it's 2.5 watts per kilo is the aim on the way around. So good to see you still. A nice big pack here. Jess Evans from Just Rise Bikes in here. Of course, the ASOS ambassador in here, looking nice and smooth. Good to see James Allen is in here. James back in his traditional La Vie Claire kit there. James, of course, with one of the spin-off rides from the DONNYCHAINGANG that goes out. Details on the Facebook page. Make sure you go on the Facebook page and subscribe. Now, coming up to the end of lap number 1, let's take a little bit of a look on the companion app. Apologies for the feed going down earlier on. Not great that we could do about that. So let's drop back in with our beacon. This is Mr. West at the moment. He's got Rogers for company. And West is going down into the aero tuck. They're just trying to keep the pace down. Just tucked in with Rogers at the moment. Rogers kicking at 2.2 watts per kilo. That's not going to be long before they're onto the final climb. So at the moment, they are currently 140, 150, now 2 minutes behind the back of the main group. Our red beacon currently just 2 minutes down. Sandwiched in between, we've got Mr. Shade here. Now, so Rich Shade rolling along nicely in that camo kit. Rich will have the red beacon coming round the corner behind him very, very shortly. You just see the beacon in the air there. The gap back 8 seconds behind to the beacon. In front of Rich, looks like Taylor just on that hill at 0.8 watts per kilo. So Taylor at the moment just ticking it along as he comes onto the hill. May well be waiting for Rich Shade. In front then, it's going to be Alan Parsons. Now, I know Alan was going for a steadier ride. So Alan at the moment, currently 15 seconds off the group with John Smith. Now, this is our next set of riders. So 16 seconds back. We take a little bit of a look back. You can just see Alan coming in the green behind. We've got Hicks in front. So let's take a little bit of a look up. So it is Hicks in front. We'll drop in with Hicks. Hicks are just chasing a couple of riders. If we just zoom out, we'll be able to get a really good view of them. So it's going to be Carl Johnson. He's the rider in the red and black kit. And I think it's going to be Martin Bolt in the orange, white and black. This group are going to be coming together. They're currently 38 seconds behind Jackson. Jackson at the moment just at distance from the back of the main group. Then it's going to be the Cannonball in front, 13 seconds up the road, and the Cannonball is going to see them coming behind at this rate. It's not going to be long before Jackson starts to make contact. So the cannonball it is at the moment. He's in front of Bolt Jackson. He's just going over the line at the moment. The back of the bunch starting to disappear away from a number of these riders. This is Mark Swift. Just Mark Swift here. He's working hard, so trying to stay with Thompson at the moment. And this is going to become a nice group here. We've got Hughes in this group as well. So Hughes at the moment is in the group leading them through in the yellow. Then it's Swift in the first of the camo with the green and black bike. The grey bike being ridden there by Thompson. They're currently just over 2:55, heading for 3 minutes in front of our red beacon. And then 7 seconds up the road, we're going to see Ferren here. So Ferren with another group now forming here. And this group is again distance from the yellow beacon group, who are well and truly off the group. A shout out there by James Allen, who knows what he's talking about. Stay off the front. It's dead easy, guys. Keep off the front. It's a lot easier. These guys working really hard behind to stay in touch. Badger at the moment on the front, pulling this group along. He's currently doing 3.8 watts per kilo to try and pull back the group behind up to the group in front. So you've got Badger, you've got Ferren, you've got Wilkinson, John Garfoot in there. It looks like Wilkinson in that group behind them. There are riders just coming around the corner behind. That is Hughes, Swift, Thompson just being a little bit dizzy. Ferren continuing to try and chase the Badger, and the Badger is chasing this man. This is Amicus. At the moment, Amicus has 8 seconds back to the Badger, and the Badger is going to be just about be able to see him up in front. Let's take a quick spin round. Let's see if we can see. There we go. The red jersey is just in front of Amicus. You can see the yellow beacon long way in front. So the red beacon currently about 3.5, if not nearly now 4 minutes behind the back of the main bunch, with about 60 riders are now starting to be distanced in a variety of groups on the way through from him to the front. So 450 to the red beacon from Ferren. Ferren currently 23, so now at 6 minutes is the gap. Just going to take a little bit of a jump. These are our next two riders, just feeling the pressure. Looks like Haig there, Mr. Borelli, Stefano just being distanced off that front group. Stefano with a new turbo, always takes a little while to get used to the turbo, and Stefano at the moment, just feeling that pressure just dropping back a little bit here as Amicus goes past, currently on the 1%. If you take a look at the map at the top, you'll be able to see that we've got a lot of the roundabouts that we're on our way through. So Borelli chasing Haig at the moment, and Amicus, they are currently chasing Owen Davies. Davies up here riding for Team Cystic Fibrosis. Great to see him back in action once again. Currently sporting the Alienware jersey, and I've got to say a massive thank you to the Alienware, keeping us powered on the way through. Just in front of him, we're just going to take a little bit of a look up in front. Let's see where everybody is. As we take a look up, we can just see Streaks and Meyer in front of him. Now then we're going to have a look and see. Looks like Mr. Stables at the moment just being distanced here. So Stables are working hard here. They are behind the group. This is Williams at the moment from Hot Chili here. So Williams just rolling around the side of James from Hot Chili. James in the blue. We're going to jump up a little bit further. It looks like Mark Chamberlain jumping out of the group here. So we're with Mike Navarro now. This is the back of the main group here. That's being put under pressure. They're doing 4.5 watts per kilo and are being tailed off the group here. Just watching riders trying to force their way back on. So you can see the riders behind having to push on very hard here. So Wade Roberts at the moment in this group, I think, got Victoria Chivaria on the wheels. Now they can see the group in front. Now we're going to have a little bit of a look up behind. Looks like Smithson's just about going to make it on here. West now with the red beacon at 7 minutes 15. Will they manage to pull the back of the group back? You can see at the moment Roberts here doing 4.6 watts per kilo, being distanced by the pack. So it looks like Altaf just up the road here, so it jumped in with Altaf Hussein, a rider who's got stronger and stronger each week. So Altaf here having to work really hard, kicking out 2.3 watts per kilo. Looks like Crichton do the same, but Callaway's really fighting to stay in this group. Looks like Dobson just rolling around nicely in with that yellow beacon here. Looks like Craig Sand is in here, Trevor Crehan in this group as well. Looks like Ethan Grimshaw sitting in the group here. Good to see Ethan riding well. So like Nick Rudkins in here, Honeyman's in here, Knight in here as well. So just rolling in here with Knight sitting on that Zwift concept bike as well, rolling round with Russ. You just see Smithson just pushing on to the back of the group. Russ, and looks like Knight here glued nicely to the back wheel of Russ. Down in his knows the score. And this is very, very smart riding at the back here. People are not going too fast, just rolling around in this group. Looks like Ethan Grimshaw's got this nailed, and just jumped in with Ethan. Ethan in the yellow and black, and looks like very comfortable for the young rider there, ticking along. 140 beats per minute heart rate, 78 currently revs under him at the minute. John Hind in here as well. Hind sitting in this group, another very experienced rider. John rolling his way around here with the flat cap on. He knows the score, do enough work to stay in the back of the group. Don't sit on the front and burn yourself out. And nice riding this back of this main bunch, working well. So as our riders now head off on the course, they're going to be heading around, soon going to be into the next descent. We are going to be rolling away. We'll just take a cut back and we'll just work our way up from the back groups up towards the front, as at least the group round Russ seems to have settled down, even if the front currently don't seem to understand that concept. So just jumping in with Mr. West. Let's see as the rest of the riders jump in. He's got Rogers on his wheel here, so these two riders riding together well. And Mr. West doing the red beacon work at the moment. Don't forget, on Thursday we'll be rolling out the channel watch, the Facebook on Wednesday tomorrow, for all of the details of how you can join that. If you are off the back of the group and you are near the red beacon, if you've got the intention of rolling around with the red beacon, which is going to be usually round about that 2.5 watts per kilo mark, then make sure you've got Discord downloaded, and we'll be telling you all the details, getting you all of those links to the red beacon channel for riders who are riding at the with the red beacon, and that will be coming your way on Wednesday. So let's just jump in front of Mr. Rogers and West up to our next rider. This is going to be Taylor. So Brendan Taylor looks like he's riding nice and smooth. He's got 137 on West in no man's land a little bit at the moment. So he's kicking out 3 watts per kilo, but he's got 50 seconds to make it up the road. And if you'll take a look at the top of the map, you can just see the next riders on the screen. It is going to be Alan Parsons. So Parsons at the moment riding, I think, on the wheels of John Smith. So Smithy just in front. Alan kicking out 170 watts here. Let's just jump in with Smithy. I think Alan just nicely pushing on onto the wheels here. So let's take a little look at Smithy here. Smithy looking good. So he's pedaling with basically one leg at the minute. Looks like he's pretty smooth. And it's going to be in front a couple of seconds to Hicks, but I think they're going to close down on the wheels of Hicks here. Yep, here they come. So they're going to see Hicks very, very shortly indeed. Hicks only 1 second up the road. So this is going to become another group. Remember, this is what we say, grab a group on the way around. It's so much faster sitting in the wheels. This is definitely a course where, although there are sharp kicks on the climb, it's all about being able to stay in that group. So aero wheels, sometimes a lighter aero wheel if you are a particularly good rider on the flat. Now Hicks just needs to give it a bit of a kick here, jump in with them. This is going to become a group of 3 here. They've got Hopkinson in front at 23 seconds, so Hopkinson could well be the next section. So let's take a little look. This is David Hopkinson, another of our regulars on the chain gang. So Hopkinson now 23 seconds back. So we've got the Red Beacon group. We've got Brendan Taylor sandwiched in between. We've got Alan Parsons and Hicks as another duo with John Smith chasing. So that's 3 riders there trying to chase on to Hopkinson. Then in front you've got Johnson and Bolt. Now they are 16 seconds up the road. Let's jump up from David Hopkinson up to Martin Bolt and to Carl Johnson. So round they come, and it is Johnson on the front, Bolt behind here. They're pushing on at nearly 3 watts per kilo. They are chasing a certain Mr. Bennett. So Bennett is our next rider. This is Matt Bennett, and Matt riding on the very basic Zwift kit, which isn't too much of a disadvantage on this course, kicking out a nice 3 watts per kilo, 33 seconds off the riders in front and about 40 to the riders behind, who are not catching in that much, but remember we're only about half distance at 24k. Only one more case gets us into that 25 mark. Now let's just take a little bit of a look up the road. Jackson is our next rider. Jackson riding on here at 4 watts per kilo, pushing on that Zwift bike as well. He's got Stefano Borelli. He's going to be closing in on Stefano fairly quickly. Stefano, you're going to get some company who's riding well at the moment. Jackson just behind you. So Stefano riding here and ticking along at 1.8 watts per kilo, just waiting, I think, for the riders behind. Forming up into a group will make a massive difference. Then it's going to be Thompson just in front of him. So Thompson on that long run down now, and you can see it's just going to pick up before they drop down to the river. He's got Borelli that's 46 seconds behind in front of him. In front of Thompson, it is going to be a Winfield. So Winfield, one of our regular hilly winners, just rolling around at the back at the moment. And that's a key thing to do. If you're feeling strong, get to the back, help the riders to the front. Do the work at the back, don't break up the front. And Winfield here cooking out 5 watts per kilo. He's been back to help riders as much as he can. Closing in on Farron at the moment, so we'll focus in with Winfield. We know he's got the power to close right up to the front group. So here he goes, past Farron at the moment. He's gone off the back to do the workout. Smart riding, great to see. He knows exactly the score. Get to the back, work hard down Winfield here, looking smooth, still kicking out 4.9. Doesn't disrupt the front, doesn't break the group up, doesn't spit riders out the back. This is the cool way to do it, rather than the way that distance all the other riders. Gone off the back, then going to work his way to the front. Now next group he's going to come in contact with is going to be Mark Swift, and it's going to be Hughes as well. They're going to see him coming. Let's jump in with Hughes here. So in with Hughes, you can just see the figure of Winfield coming in the blue, trying to close down as we go along the side, the canal side here, the docks here. Winfield's just going to come in and through. And as you can see, Winfield now going on to the front. Hughes just jumping on that toe. Swift is going to respond to this. Yep, Swift picking up the watts per kilo as well. Trying to kick the way in. Now the riders are heading in. They've got to the next group in front is at 21 seconds. And this is a nice big group here. Now they're off the back of the main bunch at the moment by what looks to be about 2.5 minutes. This is a pretty serious group here. This chasing group in here. So it looks like Victoria Chavaria on the front of this group. Going to see Wilkinson, Badger, Fowler, Garford, Haig, Amicus all on the way in front. We're just going to take a look. The nearest rider in front, I think, is going to be Altaf. Altaf just starting to feel the pressure from the lead group, and it's 2 minutes 13. So that big group behind, we're going to be calling them in. So at the moment, Altaf Hussein is here with Brooks as well. These are riders. Peacock in the group behind, just working with Altaf, just going past Watson here. Drummond on the back of this group. Looks like James is in here as well. So James riding smoothly in here as we go up onto the climb. You can see where the yellow beacon is already up and around that first turn. And looks like Pritchard in this group. Crehan not too far off the pace. And Chris Pritchard, another of our regular riders, just with Sonia Inslee there. So Mike Killingsworth, another of our regular Donny Chain Gangs, one of the men who's been in since the start, riding super smooth here. Good to see Mike Killingsworth in this group. Up on the cobbles around the first of the hairpins. Let's get up above the cobbles here. So you can see the riders all strung out, and our yellow beacon through the top of the climb. The back of the bunch at the moment, about 2 hairpins off. And currently a few hundred meters off the top of the climb. You can see the front of the group definitely pushing on with a 1:19 time, the fastest time of this climb. Just staying in with Mike Killingsworth here as we come in and up to the beacon. So Killingsworth making his way in. And Mike Killingsworth there goes underneath the beacon there. We'll take a quick spin around. So it looks like Trevor Crehan just heading off for an early bath. Julesy in this group here. Lovett's in this group. I think Rashid's not too far away. Wilcox in here. It's like Knight just about holding into the back of this group. Mike Selkeld in here. All strung out over the top, and it looks like Russ already up and on to the main climb here, the one that I certainly prefer of all these climbs. It's a big fast kick. So let's just jump in with Mike at the minute, with Russ at the moment. So Russ up on that climb. So Darren currently sitting near the front of the main group. As you can see, this is a really brutal climb here. The fastest time's up 23rd Street is all down in the low numbers of seconds. Sub at 1 minute time is what you're going to be looking for if you want a very fast time. Looks like Coleman going up there pretty quick. Matt Brennan, the youngster, making his way up there. So Andy Hall's just put in the message where he's going to be waiting for some of the groups to come back together. And remember, the Donny Chain Gang, all about getting in a group, riding strongly with that group. Russ at the moment into that aero tuck, steeper than 3%, higher speed than 58 kilometers an hour. You can get tucked down and you will travel along nice and smoothly. What you've got to do though is you've got to get the pedaling right. You've got to pedal before it levels out. You just see Russ doing so. 1 or 2 people staying in that tuck a little late. You can roll it around the corner, but now at 2%, everybody's out of that tuck, and if you're not pedaling, you're out the back of the group. So Russ sat in this group. It is well and truly strung out. If you take a look at the map at the top, you can see everybody strung out and around the gaps as the riders head out and round. Russ just about holding that front group together, but well strung out on this course. So Russ at the moment heading up on to the final climb. Top of the map, you can see the banner, the final gantry up on top. It'll be 1 lap to go at the line. Currently 32k done. Russ with that yellow beacon on him, kicking out 270 watts. Currently sitting at 4 watts per kilo. And at the moment, not riding through the back. It is being split out at the moment. We're going to see where the rest of the group. So there's plenty of really good groups forming behind. It is one long train at the moment on the front, that yellow beacon. It is one group. It's just one very long string at the moment. I have a sneak feeling that isn't going to come back together again. Let's have a little bit of a look up behind. We're just going to try and catch up with a few more of our regulars. So Craig Herring is a little bit further back down this group. Craig, another of our regular riders, one of our fast riders from the word go. And don't forget, if you do get distance, grab yourselves a group. There's still a lap to go on the way around when you get to the line this time. So just watching Herring in this group make his way up this final climb. If we zoom out from Craig, you'll see front of the ride now heading up on to the straight. Going to jump in with Darren Bush now. Darren, our next rider, just up on this climb. And as you can see, riders working hard to get up with him. Spence Hill trying to close the gap down. You can see a little bit further back here. We're on the main turn here, which takes you in and up towards the plateau. One long line of riders in front. If we take a look back down that climb, you can see everybody chasing really hard behind. Looks like Gail Phillips not too far off the pace. She's got Ruby Miller for company. Ruby sitting on a very smart wheel there. Gail very experienced, a regular on the chain gang, and we know as well as being a spreadsheet queen and heading up the red beacon duties and keeping an eye on everybody, she's also doing a great job of riding the chain gang as well, and looking super smooth on the way now. She's got Ruby Miller for company, and certainly looks to me like Ruby is sitting just about on those wheels. Gail pushing on here at 4 watts per kilo, just trying to get to that line. I think she's going to put a fast lap in here, closing down on the wheel of Bush here. So Ruby jumps back on the wheels again behind here, and you can see these two fast women really are pushing on here. They're going to set a new PR when he gets to the line, I think, here as they go through. Gail gets a new PR, Miller gets a new PR, so Ruby gets another PR, and you can see just how quick it is. PR after PR after PR. Flanders Fraser's doing the same. Looks like he's saying going to get another PR on the way through. Andy Hawes in here. Looks like Hawes' animal magnetism doing its stuff once again, because he's at the heart of another group. I think when Andy was a baby, he was bathed in links. He attracts people like there's no tomorrow when he's out on the bike. He might have been brute back then. He's not all that young, isn't it, Andy? Still disgustingly quick though. So Andy Hawes at the moment in a nice group here. Looks like Ted's in this group as well. Mr. Mike Killingsworth. Looks like Finney is 6 seconds up the road. I thought they were going to see him pretty quickly. Looks like Knight in here. Wallace Lemmy's in here. Looks like Joe Jarvis has jumped in this group as well. This is a good group to be in, Joe. So Joe Jarvis sat in here. Looks like Altaf in here as well. Now they're just up the road from Richardson. Mike Salkeld as well. He's a little bit further, so just taking a quick check up back. Mike Salkeld sitting on the wheel of Richardson. They could close that gap down. That is the group in front, which has got Andy Hawes in. And it's like Ryan Williams just going to be there, just give him a little bit of a tow on the way up. He's going to give it a little bit of assistance. Let's see if they can bring that back together again. A little bit of a push coming here from Richardson and Salkeld, just trying to get with Williams. If the Andy Hawes group realises, Ted realises it's 3 seconds back, Is Salkel going to be able to make this? He needs to push on now. He needs those mythical 100 watts. Looks like Richardson trying to respond to this as well. Craig Sutton's about 4 seconds back. This is a really good group. So Andy Hawes, you are in the group, and it is a cracking group, but you do have some great riders behind in Williams, Clark, Salkel and Richardson. They're not all that far off the pace, only a couple of seconds off the back of the group. They're really working hard here. You can see everybody is putting the pace on to try and bring these 4 riders back in with them. This is some really nice riding here. And it's what we want to see from the Chain Gang guys, working together to get that pace up, to bring those groups back in. And they're going to make the catch here, because they got it down to a couple of seconds. They're pushing on here. They've got another group in front that they're going to get together with here at this rate. And this is going to be a really good pack, because not too far up the road as they start to make this group, you've got another 5 or 6 riders just up the front. If we jump up the road a little bit. So currently Bush is sat in no man's land, 5 seconds up. Honeyman, this is the group in front of Andy Hawes here. So let's take a little bit of a look back behind. You can see that group coming. So Finney, Spencer in here. Flanders Fraser in this group. Schwab is in here as well. Osmond's in here. It is a real who's who on the way through. So groups forming all the way around. If you take a look up at the top there, are starting to get some really nice blobs starting to form. Barry Kipling in a group with Gail Phillips up here, and again another nice group working together. Matthias is in here. And it's going to take a jump up, 26 seconds up. This is our next group up on the cobbles, and this looks like it is the remnants of that yellow beacon group. Imogen Wolf in here. Imogen, of course, one of our very fast young riders. And Imogen doing the business wall once again here. You can see that heart rate, 200 beats per minute here nearly from Imogen. 199, it shows you just how young she is. In with Gibbons in here as well. Let's have a little look at Henson. Henson's another of our younger riders. So Henson's at 200. Nearly heading for 200 beats per minute. Nice riding here. Looks like Matt Blackford up here. Matt Winston in the group. So Matt working hard, staying. Luke Taylor's in it. Craig Herring, Rich Orrell in this group, and it really is starting to form into some really good packs here. Mike Gibbs in it. In Davenport in this group as well. Chris Gale, Cal Kaplinsky's in here. Now, how far to the group in front? 4 seconds to Peacock. That means that they're going to be able to see them. There they are. It is group after group after group as they start to work their way out and round this course. They're going to fling round this corner. Round they go. Next group in front. It's going to be about 6 seconds up from them. So this is going to have Charlie Babbitt in the yellow and blue on the back. They got Warner at the moment in the black. We've got Hawkins, Haycock. We've got Sam Emsley's in here as well. Sam in that cryogen kit, and at the moment this group just pushing on through that sprint. We get more PRs, yet more personal records on the way through that sprint. Let's take another look up the road. Looks like the yellow beacon round the corner. It's going to be 12 seconds, I think, to this next group. This has got Downtree in it. It's got Howis. It's got Ian Taylor in here. Taylor on a great ride yet again. So it looks like Craig Genther in here, Ian Spence is in here, Downtree, Tristan from Harrogate's in here, Sims is in this group. This is a real good group. Again, McLean in here, Gately in this group now. Just up the road, it's going to be Brown sitting in with this group. And you can just see it is going to be a real who's who in this one. We've got Bundy in here, Greenwood's in here as well. Proctor's in. Looks like Cliff in this group. Sutcliffe is in here as well. It's 48 seconds up to our next group. Sorry, 30 seconds to our next group here, which is going to be the Green Salsa group now. Joel Davis is in here. Joel's going to be on Red Beacon. He's going to be driving the Red Beacon bus, the auto bus at the back next time round. He's going to be on Red Beacon come Thursday. and he's going to also be in charge of the beacon feed. We'll be keeping an ear on it as well, on that red beacon feed, so they can pull all of the riders at the back together. He's going to control the back of the group. Looks like Noble in this, George Cooper's in here as well, Provence in this group, Donald's in here, Hoban, Crawley's in as well. Goose looks like Michael Hutchins is in the group behind, so this is a good group up here. Jono in this group as well. Jess rides bikes, looking pretty smooth here as well. We're going to work our way up, though. We're looking for the lead group. This is the lead group. So here we go. Josh Edmondson sitting in here. It's Sky Pro rider. Looks like Fraser is in here. Mason is in here. Kieran Smith in here as well. Dyer in here. James Allen is in. This is, of course, the Scottish suit James Allen. With those hills coming in towards the finish, he really is a real ruler of a rider who we know has got the power to take if it is tough, and it doesn't get much tougher than Richmond here. It looks like Alex Belden is in this group as well. The youngster riding well in the blue there. Belden's heart rate 169. He's got plenty to go. I bet he's got another 30 beats in him on his way through. Simon Warren in here. We know Simon can climb. That's what Edmondson up to, 256 beats per minute. Coleman is in here. Hodgson's in here. Looks like Andy Bishop is in this group. Simonite is in here. Cleves in this group as well. Jump in here with the rider just pushing his way on from that group through there with a 21-second time on Broad Street. But our riders, I think, are going to be letting him go for that, because everybody getting a PR on the way through here. Looks like Evans is in this group nicely sat in here. Conley as well. And this is our leading group, but it's forming into some real bunches behind after the initial madness has settled down. Good to see Finley Priest making this group. Priest, another of our younger riders. Looks like Matt Manicky from the Struggle is in here, from Struggle Events. Let's try and jump in with Finley. Finley in 204 to 280 watts, doing some nice revs though. Seeing 90 revs per minute at the minute. Coming out as we are on this 1% drag up here, but it's soon going to roll away. You can see it dropping away from our riders in front now. So minus 5%. We're in with Finley. We're running in with Finley at the moment. Russ sitting on the back of this group as well, keeping it nice and smooth. James Allen is in here. Fraser sitting in well. Let's jump in with Mr. Allen. Allen sitting in that look kit. He's a very experienced rider. I'm going to see if he can take the honours here. We've got Andy Thorne is in here. Lawrence Coyle in this group. Cleves sat looking smooth. Bish is back as well. Here in America on the Donny Chain Gang, coming out to you live on the Down Cycling YouTube channel. Part 2 of our 2-part programme. As the feed dropped out initially, apologies for that. We'll no doubt be sticking it back together again once we come back in. At the moment, just testing out the limits of the groups. So many riders coming down. In fact, just going past the red beacon, who's just going up on the opposite direction there. And that's James West. And at the moment, this is the leading group. This is what is left of the front of the Donny Chain Gang. A very select group of riders. We're in with Stellaton Donny Chain Gang rider. It is thought as the Stellaton rider James Allen, 164 beats per minute, and they are ticking along here. 55 kilometers an hour, dropping down to 54, 53 kilometers an hour. It's a very fast pace. They're on the level now. This is roller coastery all the way in. It just literally rolls up and down as the guys go in and through. And at the moment, everybody riding reasonably conservatively. In fact, the pace, if anything, has come off slightly. Everybody knows it's going to come down to the last 3 ascents. We've got the big cobbled curving climb, the first of the climbs. The second, the straight up cobbled sprint. And then the third, the run into the finish on the 2015 UCI World Championship course. Of course, Russ has ridden in real life as well as here on Zwift. And look at this. We said it was going to come down to the end. I can see a bit of a dig here from Russ, and this is going to shake things up here on the front, because Russ has gone for it. He's opened the gap up. We're frantically rolling across to jump in with him. Here we go, in with Russ. We're riding with Russ at the moment. He's got Booth just with him as well. So Booth at the moment just in front of Russ, down in the rest of the pack. All broken up, 5 riders becoming 6 now as they come through. Simon Oxenham closing that gap up, and it looks like the rest of the pack are going to come across. A very hard dig by Russ, downing on his way through. Who's going to put the next kick in? It's now's the time for a classic counter attack if you've got the pace to do so. We're just watching out on these numbers as these riders come in. Everybody backing the pace back down again. We're going up towards the U-turn. We're going to go underneath the building. You can see in the distance. We're going to do the U-turn and come back out and round. Now is young Alex Belden going to be able to take this away from the older hands here? He's younger. He's going to have a better power to weight ratio than most, because he is one of our younger, lighter riders. The younger riders generally have an advantage. However, when it's on the flat, it is all about the what you can kick out, and you can see the damage that's being done. Plenty of riders at the back struggling to stay with the pace on the front. The pace at the moment, Simonite winding it up here. Now who's going to go for it on the hills? Is it going to be Dan Evans? Of course, as a former national hill climb champion, he could be the man who is going to wind it up on the front. You can just see Simonite at the moment with a 2-second gap. Evans is here. One of the ASOS ambassadors. He's just got Russ down. He's sitting on his wheels at the moment, but you can just see the pressure starting to go up on to the front here. Everybody knows that you've got to be in with a shout. So you've got to be close to the front. Belden moving up on the wheel of Pinder at the moment. Josh Edmondson working hard. Dowshy from Red Bull just trying to make his way across here. Everybody's putting the pressure on. Just seeing a big kick coming out here as everybody starts to put the pressure. And I think we've seen a pop happen there to Evans. So Evans has gone pop. His legs have come off the wagon, I think, because he was on his first ride back, not necessarily the best of options. And as we're going up this hill, it looks to me like we've got McNamara sitting nicely in this group as well. McNamara in here in the black. He's not going too hard at the moment. We say he's not going too hard. He's still pushing out nearly 7 watts per kilo. Just going to jump in with Gilmore here. Gilmore's right up in the numbers at the minute. He's on 6.9. We're going to jump out a little bit at the minute. And we go up. It is currently Coleman at the moment who's on the front. So Coleman it is who's opened the gap up. Let's take a jump up in the air. Let's take a look at the gap he's got. So Coleman opening 3 seconds up as he comes around that right hand turn. He's going to be in underneath the gantry at the top of climb number 1 here. This is the KOM here out on the circuit at Richmond, and that gap currently sits at about 3 seconds. The group is behind him now. He needs to push on a little bit here just to make them work behind as he comes on to the descent. He's going to drop down very quickly here, and you can just see if we drop down, it is a real roller coaster section. He's gone from 4% to -2%, and it's going to drop very quickly away as he comes around the next left-hand turn behind him. That gap is still at 3 seconds with Russ doing some serious work here. Let's take a look back from Coleman. We're riding with Coleman at the moment. Dan Coleman is here. 4 seconds. They leave him out there to dry. They're not putting too much in. The next kick is on 2 right-hand turns time. The first will take him on to the flat. So his next right-hand turn will take him onto the flat behind him. That group are going to be chasing him. And he's then going to kick, and he's going to be going up for the uphill, the sprint uphill. So we're going to see who is coming there at 2 seconds now. That gap's coming down. He's round the corner. He's on to the main sprint here. And look at the pace they're coming. There's some big numbers coming out here. Oxenham at 10 watts per kilo. You can see Oxenham is absolutely hammering this. Belden's coming alongside him though. And at the moment, Alex Belden is pushing at the moment against Oxenham. Oxenham out of the saddle here. This is a serious kick. He's doing all sorts of damage behind. You can see that group is really getting split behind. We're getting riders distance behind Oxenham as he goes over the top. Now he's backed off the power. He's come through and he's set a brand new PB in the fastest time, 27.96 seconds up there behind him. Everybody is trying to push to close that gap back down again. He's not continuing onwards with this effort, and it's Daltrey now who has chased him down. He's the rider behind here, so Daltrey going on to the wheel of Oxenham. They've got one more climb to go, so if we take a look up at the map in front, we'll zoom it right out again. We've got the left turn coming up. It will continue this descent down. As they come sweeping around, they're down on to the next section of the descent. It's only a slight downhill. They're then going to take the right-hand turn on the level, and then the right-hand turn will take them back up again. Now the winner of the ride is going to come from this, the first rider across the line. Remember, it's not a race. It often turns into it. It certainly has done today. Who's your money on as we go up on to that big climb? Is it going to be King? Is it going to be Evans, who's got himself back in with this group? Coleman's in here. Russ Downing's in here. He's a rider who knows how to ride this inside out. Dwyer is riding very well as well. But who has got the pace as we go on? Now we're riding in with Alex Belden. He's the rider in the blue at the back here. Has he got the pace to take this out? We're now on 5% on the climb. We're going to go right. It's going to kick again. This is it for the front. When they get up to the top of the hill, they are going to be in. You can see top of the map. We're just going through and past the pens here. Everybody's sitting and looking. It's very, very nervous. Nobody has gone hard just yet. Those numbers are all pretty sensible at the moment. At the moment, I think Coleman sitting probably at one of the highest watts per kilo. Hutchinson's in there. We're just starting to see the feathers coming in and the power-ups coming in from the riders. And it looks to me like the pressure is starting to come on at the front here. So at the moment it is Topping who has gone here. It's Topping who's gone hard off from the front of this group. We'll take a little bit of a look back. Topping was taken out. He's beaten by Thwaites coming in at the finish before on one of our hilly Donny chain gangs. We'll move out on Keith Hill. At the moment we're coming into the left hand turn. He's going to be lining up and seeing the gantry. Has he got enough left in the tank? He pushed away on the drag, but he's got to now hold them off. 2 seconds back to Gilmore. Hutchinson at 4 seconds, Oxenham at 5. Kieran Smith now starting to kick. He's kicking out 8.6 watts per kilo. Is Smith. He's on the yellow Tron bike behind, but as he left it too late, Topping can see the gantry in front. You can see a long, long way out just coming past the pens. The gap is coming down, but it's still at 4 seconds to Gilmore. Kieran Smith kicking out nearly 9 watts per kilo here, but Topping has got his timing right here. I think he's going to take this. He's got 100 metres to go, and they're not going to get this. They're closing, but they're not closing fast enough. It is going to be Topping, Richard Topping, who is going to take this. He goes through the line. So it's Topping in first place, Kieran Smith in second, Gilmore in third, Hutchinson in fourth. It's Daltrey in fifth. It's going to be a 6th for Coyle. It's going to be a 7th for Oxenham, 8th for Dyer. It's going to be a 9th for Belden, 10th is going to be McNamara. It looks like Russ just coming in with that group as well. Looks like Evans just coming through the line just ahead of Gareth Mason, King, Edmondson on his way into the line. It looks like Foreman's going to come past him here. So Foreman's going to be the next of our riders heading in towards that line. So it's going to be Foreman, the next of the riders in. Then it's Josh Edmondson. Riddler's going to come through as the next rider in. So Riddler making his way in and through just ahead there of Cameron Fraser and Pinder. Simonite, Booth coming through. And then it's going to be Cass. So Cass working hard behind. So it's Cass just in front of the chase behind Kirkham, Hodgson, Cleve. And then it's going to be a gap back to Thornley. So as he goes through the line, it's Cass, then Kirkham, then Hodgson, and then Cleaver, then it's going to be Thornley. So we're in with Thornley at the minute, and he's got a decent gap back behind him, so it's going to be Thornley. He's going to come through with 6 seconds back to Burke and 11 to Cooper. So through the line he goes. Then we're going to jump in here with Burke. Burke is going to be our next rider coming into the line. And Burke comes in underneath the gantry. He's got 5 seconds on George Cooper. Cooper here trying to hold off Raynham. Raynham comes in. He's got Watson, then Davis, and then Jimmy Allen. So James Allen, then Simon Warren of 100 climbs. Lindley, Corby. Then it's going to be Smith just coming through, followed by Conley, Jono, Smithson, and Crawley. Really fast. It shows you just how quick these riders were going. Matt Manakey's going to come in just behind the Johnson Wheelers rider here. And over the line he goes. Everybody pushing really hard to get themselves in and through the line. Finley Priest chasing all the way, not quite catching him on the way into the line. Andy Bishop out on his way in. You can see Andy back riding strongly as well. Then I think it's going to be the first of our female athletes out on course. It is going to be Jess here. So Jess Evans, Jess rides bikes on her way through. Jess, the first of the female riders. Then it's going to be Proven, Donald, Callaway and Brown, followed by Green, Salsa and Duckworth. And you see this is going to be another tight finish here. Pearson pushing on here as he goes in towards the line. They're just going to catch back Green Salsa here. And he does indeed, so on his way through. It's Duckworth, Evans, Green Salsa, then Bundy. And it looks like Bundy just out sprinting McLean here. It's Spence just behind him, followed by Hoban and then Proctor. Tristram from Harrogate ahead of Morn. Kuslugs, that's Michael Hutchins. Clippo, Witten, Noble, Dowtree, Emsley just coming in towards the line. So Sam Emsley leading this little group out here. And Emsley trying to stay clear of Peacock, Davenport, Greenwood, Sutcliffe, and he does so. And it is going to be Evans who's just chasing on towards the line here. And he's just in the front of Rollitt, McKechnie. It's going to be Stealth, and then it's going to be Ethan Grimshaw coming through the line. Great riding by Grimshaw there. Gately, Singleton not too far off, so Gately comes through with Wade Roberts, Johnny Two Dogs. So Johnny Lightfoot, one of our winners of course in the Halloween competition, comes through. Great riding by him as the riders come hammering through very thick and fast. Ryan Williams going through. Looks like Craig Genther on his way through the line. Genther getting quicker week on week. Next group on its way in, this is Gail Gibbons. Looks like Matt Winston going to be chasing him towards the line. Rich Orrell not too far behind. You can see Rich riding strongly. There's going to be some very dead legs. There's a reason we don't go to Richmond every week, that is for sure. It looks like Rich Orrell's going to come through just clear here of Adi Dench. Dench working hard to get himself into the line. Plenty of groups formed behind. He's going to come through 2 seconds clear of Warner. Then it's going to be Hepton, Spence Hill, and then it's going to be Imogen Wolf. It's going to be our second female rider. So Imogen just tucked in on the wheels here. It's going to be the second of our women riders. Just a little kick over the line there by Imogen. Great riding. She's going to come through clear of Gail Phillips. Phillips is going to take third woman over the line here. So Phillips coming through. She's going to take third. I'm going to drop down. I think it's going to be Ruby Miller who's going to come through to take fourth place in the female riders over the line. So fourth for Ruby. So behind Ruby it's going to be Green, and then we're just dropping back here to Matthias Edmonds. I've got Kipling not too far behind, and looks like Edmonds is going to try and challenge all the way to the line here. Matthias just holds off Edmonds there, then Kipling comes in. It's going to be Dunn and then Cook the next two through, and I think Dunn's just going to hold this as they go in through the line behind him. Lovett chasing hard. He's got Taylor behind him, just see coming in behind, and then it's going to be Schwabe. So Schwabe here in front of Wallace, heading towards the line. These groups are keeping on coming in very quickly indeed. It's going to be Coleman as our next rider heading in towards the line. We're just going to take a little bit of a look back. Looks like Andy Hawes at the head of a group of riders. Surprise here. And Hawes is kicking out some serious watts here, 13 watts per kilo. And when you've got your own gravitational field, that is a serious kick. Daddy doing the business there ahead of Killingsworth. Ted, Maddie Smith's going to be our fifth female rider in through the line there. So Maddie takes fifth place from our women, just in front of Ted. Looks like Fraser just coming through with Craig Selling, the Spencer Jarvis. So Joe Jarvis going to take 6th female rider in and through the line. Mike Selkeld on his way in here. So Selkeld working his way in here, and it's just ahead of Altaf. So Altaf is saying another rider who's improving week on week makes his way in and through. He's just in front of Donnelly. So Donnelly, right, nice lightweight bike there, making his way in towards the line, doing another great ride here. So good to see Donnelly coming through. It's 23 seconds to Potts, 24 to Julesy, 28 to Goddard, and Badger currently sitting at 30 seconds. So just jumping in with Potts here. Potts just being passed by Julesy. Julesy wanting to get a serious bit of pace on for this little section, and he's really starting to kick out some watts per kilo now. So just jumping in, Julesy here doing the business, looking good as he's coming in towards the line. So it's going to be Julesy who's our next rider in, pushing all the way up here, 3.5 watts per kilo here nearly. So Julesy's our next rider coming in to the line here on the Downing Cycling Donny Chain Gang. It's got 5 seconds to Potts and Badger. And Badger the next rider in to the line. Badger coming through with Potts just behind. Then it's going to be Goddard who's our next rider on the way in. So just keeping an eye on Goddard here in front of Forrester, Curtis, Parry, Jaggers and Rashid. So nice riding by Goddard. Forrester coming through behind here. So it's going to be Forrester chasing all the way to the line. 11 seconds on Curtis and Parry. Parry in the yellow, Curtis in the black here. They're almost side by side, and it looks like Parry's just going to push on here. Curtis responding to this. There's not far to go here to the line, and through they go. Parry just taking that from Curtis. Behind them then it's going to be Jaggers coming up from Bolsover ahead of Rashid. Rashid, our next rider, coming in towards line. So Rashid riding nice and strongly all the way to line. 3.9, 4.8 watts per kilo as he goes over line. 5.3 at peak. Nice riding. Next up is going to be Colin Bell. This is Beefy from Cycleways, and good to see Beefy back in action. Great stuff, Col, and good to see you out on what is a really tough course, and riding nice and smooth behind. I think it's going to be a Williams, our next rider in, and then we'll just drop him back for the man who should have been well and truly harnessing the force, to the man with the Darth Vader helmet. It is, of course, Wilkinson behind. I was actually listening to Star Wars today. There you go. Strangest things you do whilst you're doing the graphics on the Chain Gang. Behind him then Bush on his way to the line, so it's going to be Bush and then Gammon ahead of Sir Rodney and Vin Donoghue. So Gammon comes through, then it's Sir Rodney, Vin not too far behind, but Sir Rodney coming in looking very regal indeed. And Vin Donoghue, the next rider, he's got 10 seconds on John Garfoot, and Sonia Inslee's at 19, got looks like James riding alongside. So Donoghue, our next rider, heading in towards the line. Time to take a breath. Finished all of the Grand Tour coffee. Thank you very much, Big Ben. Ben Chenko, of course, the Ineos and Grenadiers man, who is the soigneur for them and coffee supplier to most of the Chain Gang at the moment. Doing a great job. So Vin Donoghue's going to be our next rider in, and Donoghue, I think it's Red Beacon, if not early next week, the week after. I'm sure I've seen his name on the sheet. If you want to be Red Beacon, get onto the Facebook page and message Gail Phillips, let her know. She'll be adding your name to the list. And don't forget, we're going to be bringing the Red Beacons going to get their own radio channel so they can talk to the riders around them. Also working their way on to keep that job a little bit more fun. So John Garfoot goes through. Now it's going to be Sonia Inslee, our next rider, coming in, and Inslee has James on the wheel, and looks like Inslee pushing the watts per kilo up to 4.5 at the moment. As she comes in towards the line, just stretching that gap out, it's going to be Sonia Inslee as she comes in and across that World Championships line, just ahead of James. Next up it's going to be Chris Pritchard. So Pritchard from Ross on CCC on the hillside, and looks like Hughes not too far behind him here. So this could be close because no Hughes has got a kick on him, but so has Pritchard. This could be a really good sprint between these two riders. So Hughes now starting to push on, both on deep aero rims. It's definitely a rim brake for Hughes and disc brakes for Pritchard, but brakes are the last thing you need when you're making your way in. Pritchard and Hughes, looks like Pritchard half or wheeling Hughes here on the way in towards the line. That line is going to come pretty quickly. Is anybody going to kick out these two? They're still pretty much side by side. Now Hughes starts to put the pressure on. He's got it up. And Hughes now up at 3 watts per kilo, so it's Hughes on the front now. It's Hughes who's trying to take this away as they come in. Is there going to be a response from Pritchard? They're coming in towards that line. Here it comes, and Pritchard pushes as he left it too late. It's going to be close on the line here, but it is Hughes who takes it from Pritchard. Behind, Brown nearly had them. He was closing them down. It's going to be Drummond, our next rider, on his way in. So Craig Drummond, next rider, is ahead of Nick Ruckin, Adam Wilkinson, Vic Chavari, Ian Amicus, and Dean Haig. They're not too far behind. So well done to Craig. We're going back to Nick Ruckin. It's good riding, Nick. Great to see you out on the course. I'm sure everybody is feeling a bit like Chris Pritchard, absolutely wasted on the way around. As we drop back in with Wilkinson here. So Adam Wilkinson is going to be our next rider in through the gantry. He goes at the World Championships line. 6 seconds clear of Victoria Chavaria. So Vic on the way in and through. And Vic Chavaria in that lovely Clare strip. No stranger to the Richmond circuit or the DONNYCHAINGANG. And good to see Vic back with us. Ian from Amicus, our next rider in. Nice lightweight bike there, so can keep him clear on the hills. And he's got 7 seconds on Haig. So Dean Haig behind him, and currently sitting at 7-8 seconds. As you just see Ian Amicus just pushing his way in towards that line. Just see that gantry coming through. So Ian Amicus over the line he goes, 8 seconds clear of Dean Haig. So Dean Haig's going to be our next rider in. Haig. See that gantry, here it comes, and Haig is going to come through. He's got 5 seconds at the moment from Swift, so through he goes with 4 seconds on Swift. Here's Swift, and Mark Swift, the next rider in, looks like he's going to come through ahead of Street. So Scott Street comes through, chasing it hard there, just clear of Ferren. So Farron working hard here and pushing on at 3 watts per kilo. He's got 24 seconds gap to Fowler, and then some slightly more substantial gaps to the groups behind, heading towards the red beacon. So we're going to come in with a good time here. So good to see Sean continue to ride on through. Remember, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure we can keep on bringing you the DONNYCHAINGANG. If you do have a few pennies spare, click on the donate link. If you can't use the donate link, if you message myself, Matt Payne, then we can always find a way for you to be able to help out. Also need your help with looking after the guys on the ride. So Red Beacon, of course, is the place to be. And remember, to get those groups together, it is absolutely critical that everybody works together, listens, and has that message board running. A quick heads up that we've got lots more courses planned. I think we know where we're heading pretty much into December, and we're going to be looking forward to that on the in the coming weeks. We've got some great courses, some new ones as well. And they're going to be heading your way as we see Carl Johnson now on to the climb. He's got Owen Davis, Martin Bolt, Stefano Borelli, Brendan Taylor, Alan Parsons, Hicks, Hopkinson, Rogers, as well as West on the way in as Carl starts to see the gantry. Remember, Thursday we're going over to Gotham Grind. We're in New York City for our American week, and we are going to have a lot of laps around the circuit. Now, I think it's 6 laps, if I remember correctly, around the circuit at Gotham Grind. It is a real lumpy, bumpy circuit. It's not got big hills in a sense like this, but the bumps certainly start to take their toll. It's going to be interesting to see how that group holds together, because holding in a bunch is going to be much, much quicker. The longer we can hold it together, the faster everybody will go. Say a massive thank you to Zwift, and of course to all of the sponsors of the Chain Gang. Don't forget, of course, plenty of riders going to be making the way in to the line. Next rider coming in is going to be Carl Johnson. So Johnson heading on his way. So Carl comes up towards the line, coming in towards the gantry here. And great riding by Carl as he goes in and underneath the World Championships gantry. Currently clear of Owen Davis. Davis riding for the Team Cystic Fibrosis in that Alienware kit. We'll say a massive thank you to Swift and Alienware keeping us on the road. Apologies if you did catch the dropout. That dropout beyond our control. Thanks for the heads up, guys, when the feed goes down. We do have multiple screens rolling, including one with the feed on it all the time. Doesn't always transfer to actually giving us the stream and telling us exactly how it's pushing out, but we do try and keep our eye on about 6 screens at once, so not always the easiest thing in the world to do. So next rider in is going to be Davis, and another of our regulars on the Donny Chain Gang. And make sure you get onto that Facebook page, tell us about how brutal Richmond is. Really tough course here. And our long time Red Beacon, Martin Bolt, he's going to have that attached everywhere. Long time Red Beacon, Martin Bolt. It's going to be heading into the line, and certainly one of our riders who was in on the early days when we came to Richmond, and we all know how hard this course is. So Bolt now heading in towards the line. Stefano Borelli, Alan Parsons, Brendan Taylor, then it's Annie Hicks, David Hopkinson, it's going to be Rogers, West and Thompson, and just heading in towards the line. A big push on here from Thompson to ride with West on Red Beacon, but Martin Bolt, our next rider, on his way into the line. We're going to drop back to Alan Parsons and see whereabouts on the course. He's just in front of Stefano Borelli. So as you can see, we've been really busy tonight. It's been a manic night. We've been absolutely flat out trying to keep an eye on absolutely everything. Got to say, these actually really work, because definitely less glare and a lot easier to spot the action. So I'll keep on trying on these if you don't mind. 1080, of course, looking after us and keeping the old eyes in one piece when we're keeping an eye on all of the action out there on the Down in Cycling Donny Chain Gang. Don't forget, of course, we've got lots more action to come. We're going to be heading out and around America. We're going to go across from Richmond across to New York for Gotham Grind on Thursday. You're hopefully going to see Alan Parsons there. Let's get back in with Alan out on the course. So Alan Parsons and Mr. Ridley now on the final section of the climb up here. It's a long steady drag in towards the line, and you can see that gantry coming a long way off. Very easy to take the pressure off behind Alan. It looks like it's going to be Brendan Taylor, the next rider, coming up behind Taylor, pushing hard at 3 watts per kilo. Borelli just about equidistant behind, but Alan Parsons now putting the pressure on, sprinting hard here on the Down in Cycling Donny Chain Gang. And Parsons here in the green, coming up to the World Championship banner. Great riding by Parsons here. And for a man who's going to have an easy night, working very hard there in that back group. Next up is going to be Brendan Taylor. Taylor can see the gantry in front. Here he comes. So Taylor comes through, holding those 3 watts per kilo. Good riding by Brendan. Next is going to be Stefano Borelli. Don't forget, of course, Nonnas. You'll find Stefano with takeaway and pick up food, some great restaurant food to take home and enjoy. And Mr. Borelli, I'm sure you covered a load before. I'm sure you've got some great food to eat afterwards. Next up, it's gonna be Hicks. So Hicks will be our next rider coming in to the line, clear of Hopkinson, Rogers, West and Thompson. They're our next riders on the way in towards the gantry. But it's going to be Hicks coming in here on the Chain Gang. Next rider in. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with all of the gang on the Facebook page. And that is Downey Cycling Facebook pages, the group pages. Don't forget, of course, you can also catch all of the action on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. Make sure you give it a subscribe. It'll ping up when we give you a new live feed every time. There are 1 or 2 little trailers. If we do a test and you actually get a notification of that, you get a little sneak preview of what's coming out later in the week. If we're going to change the format, or we're testing some new graphics or similar. Don't forget, of course, you can watch this back in high definition. Just make sure you go into your YouTube settings. And remember, of course, it's all dependent on your internet signal. So if your net signal is great, you'll get it super fast. If it falls off the side of the earth when the kids come home and turn the TV on, then it's going to be bad news, that is for sure. Now, just going to take a little look, because it looks to me like Hopkinson through the line. Our next rider out on the course is going to be Rogers. Then it's going to be Thompson and West, who are up on to the climb. So whilst our riders make their way back into the circuit, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been out and riding. Really important, of course, that we can keep on doing this. It's been a real inspiration for loads and loads of riders. Really am looking forward to bringing you lots of action throughout the coming weeks and into Christmas period. We're going to be trying to run as many as we can on the way through. Don't forget, of course, Russ and myself, so it's a real co-production, and the two of us looking forward to giving you something to look forward to as we move on. And of course, really, really important for people to get out and ride, to keep it all together as long as we can, guys. Remember, it's not just about the guys in the front, it's about everybody out on that ride, and that's why we want to make sure people stay together as long as possible before we head back out on to the circuit when the action gets really going. We've got lots of great people who've helped us along the way. I want to say a massive thank you to Grant Tucock, to Halo Wheels, who have given us some fantastic giveaways, as well as, of course, looking after Russ keeping him rolling, and going to be looking forward to spinning a pair of those wheels out in the new year. Big thank you to Pinarello, who look after Russ, and of course, long time Pinarello rider. OCE for all of the fuel, keeping everybody fueled up, always important. Keep yourself hydrated on the way through. As you can see down here in the studio, really warm in here today, with a lot of action going on. Don't forget, of course, a big thank you, of course, to HMT Hospitals, and of course to New York Cycling, to Wahoo with some of the best trainers in the business of turbo trainers. And of course, we've got the new Wahoo watch that is out. I'll go have a look at the Element of watch. You can see it on Russ's Instagram feed as well, as our riders continue in. So it's going to be one more climb for Rogers. I think Thompson and West is coming up to crest the big king of the mountains at the moment. So just coming up and over the top. So they're coming up through the third climb as Rogers starts to make his way down. So just diving off screen there, always important to do. Just catching up with everything that's going on in the background as our riders make their way out and round. Rogers now coming in towards the final climb. We've got loads more action to come on the Downing Cycling DONNYCHAINGANG. Made Matt Payne. Let's jump back in with the action. So here we go, Rogers approaching what is going to be the last climb. It just starts to kick up here. You can see 4% climb. I got West and Thompson behind. They're now descending off the big climb. They're going to be heading in to the sprint up, going up to the top of 23rd Street. In front, it's Rogers now on that final climb, now on that 5% section. He's going to do the right hand turn. It's going to kick up once again. So Rogers on his way in, Thompson and West behind. Looks like West is going to push on up that hill. So Thompson out the saddle, really pushing on this steep section of climb here. Just see out of the saddle, trying to keep the watts per kilo up there. It is a really good one to try and get that kick in. Just along the side of West, one of our regular rides. You can see just how steep this is. Great to be able to come back actually and focus on just how tough this climb is. It really does rear up in front of the riders here, and our riders really do have to push to get up and over this. The penultimate climb here for Thompson, Daniel Thompson, out on course. So Thompson are really feeling it bite into the wheels at the moment. Meanwhile, Rogers just up the road, coming into that right-hand turn here. He's on 5%, so Jeff Rogers at the moment on that 5% turn. See the buildings coming through the Richmond course, getting a refresh. It was the first non-Watopia World to open up back in 2015, in fact, in line with the World Championships being in Richmond. And I know when it came, it was great to race on and ride on somewhere different. It first came through onto Zwift. Great to have it to use and be available for rides and for group rides for racing back then, and really was the only alternative to riding around Watopia. And Watopia, of course, wasn't the same world it is now with all the different courses and different sections. We were literally riding through the tunnels. We had the hilly route out and over the central island, and that was pretty much about it. Prior to that, of course, we just had Jarvis Street, which was pretty much nothing. It's one of the smallest sections and still exists in Watopia. Still that original section. You can actually go right around where the Jarvis Tree was underneath the tunnels, but now of course opened up into a fantastic world of Watopia, with Richmond, with France, with Paris as well, all opening it up. We've got Innsbruck regularly in use, as well as the Yorkshire courses from the Worlds. So Rogers looking good on the way up. It looks like West and Thompson on the descent. Just watching the beacon come around the left turn. He's going to be taking the right hand turn onto that final climb. So it won't be long before our last three riders on that last climb. Just riding with Rogers at the minute. So don't forget, make sure you support the people who support the Donny Chain Gang, people who've been bringing us all the giveaways. People like Muckoff, OTE, Halo Wheels, Grand Tour Coffee. All the giveaways from the team there, and of course the man who brought you Oakley August, that is of course the gang down at 1080, based in Norwich. If you need some new shades, if you need to stop the glare from the TV screen, if you want to be able to see every single pixel on all of the names on a multitude of screens simultaneously, having test driven them today, I can say a set of clear prisms is actually really, really good for cutting down the bounce back. It's also really good at cutting down the bounce off the lights down here in the studio too. Test them out on the mountain bike tomorrow and see if they're just as good when it's wet, muddy and cold and low light. Preferably by riding around in one piece rather than having a quick lay down and getting them muddy. That wouldn't be any good. So Rogers now in sight of the gantry. That grey shadow just up in front behind the traffic lights. You can just start to see the logos appearing here, and just see the revs picking up. 88, 89 revs per minute, 180 beats per minute, so working well here. Rogers, our next rider coming in, that gantry is going to be a welcome sight. So Rogers now on this 1% gradient, the gantry coming up in front. This is what the view looks like from those shades as Rogers heads in towards the line. So Rogers going to come through to complete 50k basically out on the course by the time he gets the warm down done. So great riding there by Rogers, making the way in and through the line, just to warm down now to do. That's why we always finish on a beacon, partly because you can get a time for the lap out on the course. It also allows us to make sure we can put a warm down for everybody when they're out and riding around the circuit. So Thompson now onto that final climb. Really feeling the pressure from the hill bite here, kicking out 1.5 watts per kilo, 48k done. It's about 49.1 when you come across the line. So into that last kilometre, you can see from the map, top right hand side, it's going to be a slight right and then a left turn, which will line up for the gantry. Our red beacon doing an absolutely sterling job here. Mr. West doing a fantastic job out on the course. Well done, mate, and thank you very much for shepherding our riders home. So Thompson and West now coming around that long left hand. They're going to be into that tight left hand turn. So out of the saddle, kicking those revs around at the moment. So don't forget all of the action from the Downey Cycling, the Donny Chain Gang. It's going to be coming out on the Downey Cycling YouTube channel. Going to be plenty of action to come throughout the winter as our last two riders. This is Thompson and West now up on to the climb. And as you can see, now start to make their way up through the older part of town, some of the older buildings in Richmond. Going to be up past the pens where we set off from some 1 hour 48.5 minutes ago. We're going to be coming in through the line just under 2 hours. red beacon now on his way in. Thompson just in front. You can see that gantry in front. And that's going to be the official finish for the chain gang today. And thank you, all of our riders have been out and riding a really tough circuit. Thank you everybody who listened to the calls from Russ and from our regular riders to hold it together as long as possible, to try and keep everybody moving as good a pace as is possible. A massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Massive thank you, of course, to everybody who has donated. If you do have a few spare pence you want to throw in the pot, then it will, of course, help us keep the chain gang on the road and help us keep bringing it to you all the way through the winter. So as Thompson and West approach the line, Thompson goes through the line, and then it is our red beacon West. From myself, Matt Payne, I'll say a massive thank you. Look after yourselves. We will see you again on Thursday. We're still in America, but we're heading across to New York for the Gotham Grind. From everyone in the chain gang, see you Thursday.